Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm playing a, at least in my opinion, overpowered vehicle that just isn't actually getting played by the World of Tanks player base. And today I'm going to be talking about why that's a problem for Wargaming and why it eventually might be a problem for World of Tanks as well. This is the T-54D. It's a Tier 9 premium German medium tank, and it's the first Tier 9 premium German medium tank in the game. Now, the fact that that isn't popular is kind of weird enough in itself. Anything German and medium in World of Tanks is very popular. A lot of people get into the game because of German medium tanks like the Panther, or even German heavy tanks like the Heavy. And as this one is kind of like this role blender in a way, where it's kind of not so much fully a medium and not so much fully a heavy, you'd expect it to be popular even if it wasn't a good tank. However, this vehicle has the 4th best win ratio of any of the Tier 9 mediums in the game, and yet still, 3 months after its release, it's only getting played 14,000 battles in a 30-day period. That is not a lot. It is the 4th least popular Tier 9 medium tank in the game. And when you factor in that this Tier 9 is one of the most comfortable, fun tiers to play, and also you can kind of make bonds as well as making credits, while also making some good crew training at the same time, I just can't believe that the T-54D is not more popular. And I don't think it was because of the way that the vehicle was released. I think a lot of people would have probably got the, I expect, loot crates that you had to pick up to be able to get this tank. Although maybe that's the problem in itself. Maybe at the moment this is an exclusive vehicle that not everybody was able to get their hands on, and so the people that maybe would have wanted to play this tank didn't manage to fully get their hands on. And so when Wargaming sell it inevitably in the future, once they feel that it's no longer that loot box exclusive, and then it will be like a real money opportunity for Wargaming to make, and then it'll maybe be available for gold, maybe its popularity will increase. So this vehicle, it's basically like a T-55 that ends up just having more space protection over the front. It has a different kind of gun. It doesn't have a wild damage per minute, only 2,100 on this vehicle, but the penetration is excellent. 268mm of penetration on its standard APCR rounds with great shell velocity, like up to Tier 10 medium kind of shell velocity. It's got 300 heat pen, which isn't the best. It's not as good as, for example, on the T-54, but it's still not bad. I don't think anyone could call that bad. And so this thing is just so darn consistent. It's a bit like a Centurion gun within that regard, although without the HESH and definitely without the great heat that the Tier 10 has, but still better, I'd say, than the HESH rounds that you have on the Centurion 7.1 at Tier 9. And unfortunately, not enough to be able to go through that Cobra's lower plate there, but hopefully with the gold we're going to go right through the upper hull with no funky ricochets there. So, this is a problem for Wargaming because they release very, very good tanks that if they release tanks that are better than this, purely to just be flat outrageous OP to try and encourage people to purchase it, then that's going to break the game incredibly quickly. And people will complain, and rightly so, about releasing overpowered vehicles that are going to destroy the ecosystem of World of Tanks just so Wargaming can try and make a quick sale. So what is the implications for World of Tanks then? If tanks like this, either they're selling and Wargaming is still making their money, but people aren't playing them 3 months later. Well, the implications are that either people are just bored, not continuing to play, which I don't really think is the case. There's still at least 100,000 people who logged in to play concurrently who logged in to play World of Tanks yesterday on the European server. But what the main implication for me is that if Wargaming see that vehicles like this aren't being played, even though they're very, very good, if not very overpowered at their tier, the Wargaming will have to release more ridiculous tanks, or they have to release even more overpowered vehicles to try and encourage players to purchase them and spend them. Because at the end of the day, the better Wargaming release a tank, the more that people will want to purchase it. However, when they go too far, like with the BZ-176, to be fair to them, they are doing the right thing by not selling that vehicle because it is just very harmful to the ecosystem. And so what Wargaming want to do is they want to monetize, try and get as much money as they can while also not destroying important tiers of World of Tanks. And Tier 9 is one of the last fun tiers left in the game. And I have to admit, with the last year, with Wargaming releasing vehicles like the 752, the Object 752, which is definitely a little too good for a Tier 9 tank, and vehicles like this that I also think are too good for a Tier 9 tank, they're really skirting the boundaries as to whether they're skirting the boundaries of balance at the sacrifice, I guess, of trying to make extra money to encourage people to purchase them. And so we're in this very dangerous position now that even though this vehicle is as good as I think Wargaming could comfortably release it, if not I think it's already too good, that it's not sold. And so that puts us in kind of uncharted territory in that area. So maybe this thing didn't sell because it's a little bit slow and it's not a traditional medium. Maybe it didn't sell because it looks like a Soviet tank and not a German tank, which is fair because I guess it's kind of like East German, right, within that regard. Maybe those are the reasons why this vehicle didn't sell. And it's not like the dwindling, or shall I say, the fatigue that we all have from the amount of premium tanks that are going into the game. And that now, not every premium tank that goes in is kind of like a must-have, and everybody must play it and then be able to continue to grind it. I'm not sure about all of you, but at least for me, when all of these premium tanks go into the game now, it feels like maybe I'll play them for a couple of days, and then I'll kind of like go back to playing the vehicles that I do feel are more enjoyable, at least for me. Considering that we have something stupid like 800 different vehicles inside World of Tanks now, with just the CS52C being released a couple of days ago to get me closer to that 800 different tanks inside my garage. I guess that's a little bit understandable. Okay, so let's talk about this battle and how it's gone so far. You see me in chat right now that I shouted out, sandwich! Yes, I guess that's because I'm trying to create a sandwich maneuver with my allies, and probably not that I'm just feasting on a sandwich while playing this game, because that'd be quite impressive considering how involved I am with trying to get the team to go in. So in this situation on Lakeville, it's very, very hard to be able to dig out your opponents with all of the different positions they would have. And so right now, I'm just trying to hide that lower plate, try and keep my armor effective, trying to bait some shots from the enemy team. But seeing how now that my team is starting to reach the danger zone, I've decided to take it upon myself to go in. So I realize that I can't really catch too much of the Su-14-2 there. Instead, I'm going to spot them and just allow my allies to deal with that. And I'm going to slinky down here, spot the CDA, and try to use this little nook, or this undulation in the terrain, to be able to see if I can spot out and try and get my allies towards the east to be fighting it out. And that's what's so great about this vehicle, is that you do have the armor, although I haven't actually blocked any this game, to be able to take those risks for your team. We get rid of the Su-14-2. However, the Progetto finishes off our T-10, and I just can't quite put my hand on where the UDES is right now. So I was expecting him to be up in this location over here that I'm mousing over on the minimap at the A2 area. However, I'm still also pinging at the time the A7 area, but it looks like the UDES was actually there, so close. But that's what you can do with that kind of crazy camo that's on that vehicle. And unfortunately, he spots out. The UDES kills our Char. The CDA kills our IS-3. I'm hopefully going to finish off the UDES before he manages to get any more kind of vision in. And the CDA also finishes off the T-44, meaning that now we're stuck in a 1 versus 2 scenario, although we do have the support of a self-propelled gun called Berg. So I do a sad face here because I felt really involved with this team. I felt like this team really tried to break the camp and really tried to win this battle. So big shout out to all of the heroes who have tried to be able to get through this one. And the Su-130 is right. They've got so many spots to defend from that side. It's very true. It's hard to be able to dig out your opponents. So in this scenario, I feel like the Lorraine was probably deciding to run from the Progetto, but all they've now put themselves in is a position where they're not going to be effective. So I'm going to try and blind fire some of the bushes. But when I see that we've got 5 minutes left and there's no way that I'm ever going to be able to push through that situation, I decide to fall back and to A, protect the base, and also B, that you can see that I want to go through the west. And if the artillery falls back and comes to kind of like the K2 area, that also means that he's going to be able to support me as well. But when the artillery sees that one person's inside the cap circle, the artillery just decides to YOLO through the center. I'm saying defend the base, hoping that the artillery will be able to get into position to help me out. But their artillery, my artillery, seems to just go for it. Wants to go forwards, go towards the cap circle. He's actually plonked himself in the cap, which in retrospect now isn't that bad of an idea considering there's 2 people on the enemy team, both of the enemy vehicles inside the cap circle. So, 11 minutes into this round. And with not the greatest of games to my name, 4,000 combined, we've now got 22 seconds left to be able to get towards the cap. And this is where I kind of wish I was using a turbo. But I really do like the durability device on this vehicle because you're quite often side-scraping, quite often wiggling those tracks, and you want to be able to get them back on quickly so you can keep grinding. So 8, 7, 6, something I do, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we fire just on the bell to be able to interrupt the projector, but unfortunately not damaging them. When you are making your way back towards the cap circle, I would recommend not looking at the timer, but count the timer to give yourself the most possible time to aim in those kind of scenarios to know exactly when you have to fire. So in this kind of a situation, I just want to make sure that the CDA doesn't flank me, but the enemies are actually just coming straight at me. Okay, so in this kind of a situation now, I kind of want to just make sure that I get one of these vehicles taken out to maybe slow them down from being able to go after our artillery. I realize I can't kill the Progetto right now, but I can get rid of the CDA. But seeing how the CDA falls back, I have to go after the Progetto now. But maybe now, maybe I can get into this dip over here and turn my armor towards the CDA, while also trying to bounce the Progetto. I ricochet the Progetto, turn my attention towards the CDA, bounce him as well, try and make use of this bad gun depression on this tank to finish him off. And then I want to wedge my armor up just slightly here against the Progetto, angling and making myself awkward to be able to go after them. They bounce one shell, I finish them off, and that was a beautiful end to the game, winning that 1 versus 2. Also, with Burke in the Lorraine, in the artillery, forcing the enemies to leave that cap circle, forcing them to come after me, and also forcing the Progetto, who knew he had to make his way back through the center to expose himself to me. If the artillery hadn't put up the cap pressure, I'm pretty sure this Progetto wouldn't have tried to min-max. So this is a good player. The Progetto wasn't just thinking about dealing with me, he was thinking about making his way through the center to go after the Lorraine. However, he probably didn't expect me to ricochet so many of his shells and also to ricochet so many of the CDA shells. And even though we blocked no damage early on in the battle, we ended up blocking enough to destroy this vehicle 1 time over and smashing out a 6,000 combined game. Just great stuff for this outrageously good tier 9 medium tank. Nailing us a steel wall and a high caliber medal. And as we are a premium tank, even though we had to dip into some gold rounds at the end there, we make 54,000 credits profit without a booster. So all in all, one of the best premium medium tanks, one of the least played tier 9 tanks in the game. Is it because of it's just got all of its sliders situated into defense and like the dependability of the gun? Is it because it's kind of blurring the lines between a medium and a heavy? Did it need to be a little bit better? Well, that's obviously not the case if it's performing so well inside the game. I just think that players are showing fatigue, and every tier 9 premium that goes into the game is a little less special, especially when Wargaming seem to be firing them into the game roughly every 2 to 3 months now. And this, it does have me concerned, mostly about how Wargaming can try and get cash injections into the game without just releasing completely overpowered vehicles or just ramping up the gacha or ramping up the assembly shops to try and monetize in other areas, all of which are really not very good outlooks. But please let me know in the comments down below, why do you think the T54D is just not getting played? I'll be interested to hear your take. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that's it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Saturday, as a thank you to everyone who came back to World of Tanks in May, Wargaming have given me some really special drops to be able to give away for today only. So come along right now, and in a single stream, you can get 3 5x experience games, some QB emblems, a credit booster, some 50% boosters, and even some pudding and tea to sweeten you up for your Saturday. So really looking forward to seeing you all live right now, and a massive thank you to everyone who did make use of my comeback to World of Tanks code in May. Really appreciate you, and that's going to allow me to hopefully give tens of thousands of people some sick loot today on stream. So looking forward to seeing you all live right now, and as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.